G'day guys. Just like the title says, I want to share the story of the time God predicted an earthquake for Oprah Winfrey. I want to start sharing stories of things that have happened along my journey so that people can see and understand the things that are possible when we begin to make this connection with God and the Holy Spirit. So this story is pretty incredible. It's impossible. Scientifically impossible, but it happened just the way I'm about to tell you. And at the end of the story, I'll show you the proof of this happening. Now, one night I was in my kitchen and I was just chopping up vegetables and making dinner. So I was all up in my head about what I needed to do next and what ingredients I needed, etc., etc. So I was working away making dinner when I turned to go to the fridge, and all of a sudden, God just grabbed a hold of me, like physically stopped me in my tracks and just, and straight away I realized that it was God, and I sort of apologized because I realized I was all up in my head, and I dropped immediately down to the feeling place and I asked, what is it? What is it, God? And he showed me there's going to be an earthquake in the next couple of days. And I was like, what? Now, at the time, my friend was there, and I said to her, I just received a message that there's going to be an earthquake in the next couple of days. I'm not quite sure where yet. I need to feel on that. And I walked out of the kitchen and around to my laptop where my desk was, which is sort of around in a U shape like this. And as I sat down and started to try and feel on where this earthquake was going to be, my friend came out of the kitchen and she looked at me and said, Los Angeles? And I felt straight away, I knew that this was it. And I looked at her and I went, yep, that's it. And so then I asked God what he wanted me to do with this information, because I just received an earthquake prediction, which is impossible. So I asked God, well, what do you want me to do with this information? Now, at the time, I was working on a volunteer basis for a charity in the US, and we were trying to get promotion through Oprah Winfrey's, the new Oprah Winfrey network, which she just moved from Chicago to Los Angeles to open. And so I was actually the person in charge of those talks. So I was in talks with Oprah Winfrey's people at the Oprah Winfrey Network. And when I asked God what he wanted me to do with this information, he said that he wanted me to contact Oprah Winfrey's people and let them know. And I just went nuts. My thinking just went nuts. Straight away, it's like, they're going to think I'm nuts. And this battle just went on between my thinking and my feeling. And I knew that I had to do what I'd been told. But this was just such a battle that I just went straight to the laptop and I sat down and I opened up the email and I started to write. And I wrote a very quick, short sentence, something along the lines of, there's going to be an earthquake in the next couple of days, get Oprah out. Something like this, very short and to the point, before I changed my mind and stopped, and I just sent it. And then I realized what I'd done, and I'm just like, God, what have you just asked me to do? And I started freaking out a little bit. And then he said, call your friend from the charity who lives in the US and tell him. And so I did. I got on Skype and I said to my friend at this stage, I was working with him, but we'd become good friends. I said, listen, bro, just in the next couple of days, make sure you've got a plan because there's going to be an earthquake. And he looked at me and he said, okay, brother, but listen, we might just keep that between you and me, huh? And I knew exactly what he meant. I knew that this just sounded crazy. But I had to tell him the truth. And I said, I've actually already contacted Oprah Winfrey's people. And he just lost the plot. He started going off his head. What do you mean? This is business. They're going to think we're all of the things that I'd already been battling with. He started yelling at me through the Skype screen. And I knew, he was right, of course. All of this was just, it sounded completely crazy. And I knew he was right, but I knew this was right. And I knew it was going to happen. And in the middle of his rant, I actually said to him, listen, bro, stop. You'll see. And with that, we wound up the call and we ended it. And he wasn't too happy with me, but, we let it go at that. And 30 hours later, my Skype was ringing again. It was him. It was my friend from the US. He was calling back. And when I answered, he was in fear. He was looking in the camera, looking at me and saying, how did you know that was going to happen? And I told him, like I always tell you, bro, I don't know anything. Things come and I just pass them to where they need to go. That's it. So the earthquake had actually happened, just like God had said it would. On Monday morning, US time, I actually called Oprah's people. I said, good morning. I won't use the name. Good morning. This is Dwayne Peachy. I'm sorry about the shake-up on the weekend. And the phone went silent, and then they hung up on me. And they never spoke to me again. I guess they were a little frightened, a little freaked out. And I really can't blame them. But they never spoke to me again. So, like I said at the beginning, there's actually proof of all of this because, like I said, I emailed Oprah's people and that email still exists. And there's also the report from the Earthquake Bureau. So here it is here. If you take a look up in the right-hand corner of the email, you'll see that I sent the email at 8:07 p.m. on Friday, October 14. This is Australian time. The earthquake actually happened on Saturday, October 15 at 7:28. So there's the proof, guys. There's the proof that the earthquake prediction came and that the earthquake happened just like God said it would. Now, science says that earthquake prediction is impossible, but nothing's impossible for God, as you can clearly see. Earthquake prediction, that's simple stuff for God. The reason I've told this story is because I want you to see that this is possible for all of us. This kind of a connection with God and the Holy Spirit and having miracles like this happen through us is possible for all of us. We've really got to get back to this connection with God and the Holy Spirit, guys. This is where it's at. You can't imagine how it feels to have something like this happen through you. When God blesses you with a miracle like this, it feels like nothing else that you've ever felt in your whole life. I promise you. And I promise you that every single one of us are capable of making a connection with God and the Holy Spirit that makes this kind of thing possible, that makes it possible for God to do these kinds of things through us. We really need to get back to our feeling, guys. Get back to our connection with God and get back to the Holy Spirit. That's where all the incredible stuff happens. Thanks, guys.